This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, May the 9th. Please stand for our invocation led by Pastor Spence Walker, Center Point Assembly of God, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we come into your presence today, and we just want to invite your Spirit, Lord, to come into this room and to lead us. Lord, we need guidance, we need direction, we need your Spirit. I thank you, Lord, for every person that sits in these positions of leadership. We understand today that, Lord, that you are the one that has called them and placed them there. And today, Lord, as we conduct the business of this great community in which we live in, Lord, we humble ourselves and we ask, God, for your Holy Spirit to give wisdom and guidance and direction and understanding. Lord, as we come together, I pray, Lord, that we would dwell in a spirit of unity and peace. And God, help us, Lord, to seek your face and let your favor and blessing, Lord, be poured out upon us. God, we pray that this city would rise in your presence, God, that would be a bright and a shining light, Lord, that would dispel darkness in the community. And, Lord, that we would rise, Lord, to be a blessing, Lord, to this entire nation. So, Lord, we just thank you today for being with us. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your direction. And we are reminded, Lord, what the Scripture says. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice, we will rejoice, and be glad in it. And we ask, God, for your blessings today to be poured out upon us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call. President Small.
Here.
Vice President Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Penn.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll. Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Davis.
Here.
Statement of rules.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see a packed house on this morning. Welcome to our council meeting. At this meeting, we do have rules. At this time, I ask if anyone have any type of electronic device, including cell phones, please at this time put it on the off or the vibrate position. The off or the vibrate position. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the ordinance, the resolution, or appeal or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must give their name. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. on a Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to express to the council must be identified and pertain to the city of Mobile business. Any person who has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item will not be allowed to address the council. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates the time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any individual council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and a public outcry allowed. Madam City Clerk.
Communications from the mayor.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see everybody here this morning. We have a few new faces here. There must be something significant going on today. I'll start with a couple of remarks first having to do with this weekend. This is an Art Walk and Roll Mobile weekend. And also Saturday, we'll have Market in the Park and Saturdays at the Cook. If you're interested in more information regarding any of those events, you can go to the Mobile Parks and Recreation Department's website and get all the details, but hope that you'll attend those. Also have a proclamation that I would like to read, so I'd ask Freddie Wheeler, Kathleen Zimmer, and Chris Bessa to please come to the podium. And it's Best, excuse me, Chris. And the proclamation reads, whereas motorcycles are increasingly used on as a regular means of transportation, and whereas motorcycle is the energy efficient vehicle that reduces fuel consumption, traffic, and parking congestion, and whereas the motorcycle is an important form of transportation for commuting, touring, and recreation, and whereas, as a matter of safety, it is necessary to develop appropriate driving habits to handle these vehicles on roadways, and whereas to prevent injuries and deaths on the roadways, motorcyclists and motorists must be vigilant in their efforts to share the road and ensure the safety of everyone. And whereas Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month raises public awareness for a lifetime of safe motorcycle riding, now therefore I, William S. Stimson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month in the City of Mobile. Congratulations.
Mayor Stimson, City Council President Small, and council members, thank you for this proclamation on behalf of Dixie Abate and the Mobile area riders as we try to build relationships. Relationships are built through understanding, so as a rider, please understand a few of these things. 2 car lengths we leave between a car in front of us isn't for you to cut us off. Contrary to popular belief, we cannot stop our bike on a dime. We speed up when we're in a blind spot, not to race, but so you can see us. When we're on a 4-lane street, we ride close to the yellow line. This way, we don't have to worry about people. We only have to worry about people who are passing, and we have somewhere to go. If you decide to change lanes or pull out suddenly without signaling, please put down your cell phone. The life you save may be mine, may be yours. Remember to share the road. Making a lane change, please use your mirrors and turn signals. We also recommend utilizing the blind spot detector the good Lord give us all, and turn your head to check blind spots instead of just taking the position of the lane that we're already in. Some of us ride with high beams and headlight modulators, which appear to flash and makes it easier for us to see us. If you think loud pipes are too loud, ask yourself if you saw me first or if you heard me first. So please, watch out for us riders. All of us are brothers and sisters. During this riding season, we are all someone's spouse, mother, wife, grandparent, son, daughter, uncle, aunt, sister, brother, niece, nephew, neighbor, or best friend. And we all would be better off trying to share the road together, and we would like to come home alive. On that, I say thank you, and it's good to be down here for something else like this.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd call on Shonda Smith to introduce the employees of the month.
Good morning.
Morning.
We are here again for Employee of the Month for Public Works as a whole. Our first candidate will be represented by Mr. Dan Otto from the Parks and Recreation Department.
Good morning. I'm here to recognize Spencer Hall. Spencer Hall joined the Parks Department in April 2000 and has been with us for 23 years. During that time, he has worked in various divisions and is now a Public Service Worker 3 in our Western Maintenance Division, where he leads the crew maintaining the parks in West Mobile. During his tenure with our department, Spencer has developed a reputation for being a hard worker with an ability to relate to crew members. His sense of humor and positive attitude are among the characteristics that helped him stand out amongst his peers. We are proud to support Spencer's nomination for Employee of the Month.
Thank you very much.
Quick not to try to talk on the microphone. Our second is for Public Works at Large, and this is for building services, and I'm bringing Mark Thompson to represent our next candidate.
Good morning. Our next employee of the month is Jason Donovan. Jason Donovan is in charge of the contracts that we have for fire suppression and we have for fire alarm and security. Jason is an exemplary employee. His competence and attitude exceed all others, and I'm proud to know that he will serve this city well. Thank you. Jason Donovan.
And the last is Public Services Administration with Jeff. You coming or Mark? Jeff? Jeff Dees will be presenting our next candidate.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Carl Craig, crew chief. He's our employee of the month. Carl has been with us for 23 years. He started off as an operator 2 driving a shuttle truck, and he's moved up to knuckle boom operator. About 3 years ago, he became the crew chief. Carl takes great pride in his job performance. He always has a smile. He has a great attitude. Carl goes over and beyond as a crew chief. The past few months, he has had to assist in operating a knuckle boom to maintain keep our routes on schedule almost daily. While doing that, he's also had to do his administrative duties, and he gets those completed daily. Carl also assists with the other supervisors, as well as helping assistance in maintaining the trash department fleet. Carl works well with all the trash crews to make sure that all the tasks are completed. Carl will take on any task assigned to him without hesitation. Carl is dedicated to the city of Mobile and to the residents. If we have more of Carl Craig, we would be a great crew. Carl's a great employee. Congratulations, Carl.
Thank you for this award.
Thank you.
My concluding remarks have to do with today's vote regarding annexation. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited about being here today and having the opportunity to move the city of Mobile forward. Today's vote will be a historic vote. It'll be one of the most pivotal votes that this city council will make, if not the most pivotal vote they'll take during their 4-year period. On the agenda are 4 resolutions, and those 4 resolutions have to do with 4 distinct areas that, once they're voted upon, will have an opportunity to join the city of Mobile. Many of those that are out there already consider themselves Mobilians, and we just want to make sure that that becomes a fact with this vote. Together with the city council and the administration, we've heard many people come speak positive things in regards to annexation. We've heard the other side. We've considered every suggestion that has been made having to do with annexation. To my knowledge, we've done everything that the city council requested of us, from giving them additional options for annexation, to getting third-party validation, to attending their community meetings. But above all, I would say that the administration and the city council have treated this as a very transparent process. I cannot even guess at how many meetings that the city councilors have had collectively or individually or the administration. But the entire time, it was in an effort to make sure that what is going to be voted on today is in the best interest of all Mobilians and the future of this city. So the affirmative vote today tees up things for us to have some of our neighbors legally join the city. But other than that, what it does, it tees Mobile up to have opportunities that otherwise will not exist. And I'll use Airbus as an example. When Airbus made the decision to come here more than a dozen years ago to build 4 airplanes, there wasn't any way they could predict what the future growth opportunities were going to be because of that investment. They took a risk, but they had no idea the reward that they would receive. Today, in the minds of some, you look at the city council and think maybe they're taking a risk. But I'm of the opinion that there's no way we'll be able to measure the rewards that will be achieved by continuing to grow this city. So my hope is that we'll have affirmative votes from all the city council. I want to thank them for their participation. They've been very patient. They have attended every meeting that we asked. And so together, we think that we have this teed up to move the city forward in a very, very positive way. So thank you to the city council for all that you've done and for your input. So, as we say often when we break up staff meetings, let's go get them. Thank you.
I'm going to ask at this time if anyone has any type of electronic device, including cell phones, please at this time put on the off or the vibrator position, the off or the vibrator position. Madam City Clerk.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for waive of the noise ordinance on May 13th on Japonica Avenue, June 2nd, Moffett Road, July the 8th, Africatown Heritage House, July 14th through the 16th in Cathedral Square, July 29th on Texas Street, May 13th on Marine Street. We have 2, and May 14th on Marine Street.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Appeal passes.
Public hearings. Today is the public hearing to consider approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Far West Side Limo and Shuttle to operate a shuttle service.
This opens up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? If so, you may come down to the podium by stating your name. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this particular item? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Lou Lateague, Sr.
Mr. Lateef? He's not present.
Sharon Ingram.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Sharon Ingram. I'm here today representing HH Business Services Gavis, which are located at 851 I-65 Service Road in Mobile, in the Bel Air Towers building. The reason I'm here is because we provide consultancy work for a lot of the businesses, at least 60% in Mobile, which include obtaining business licensing, handling all tax issues which may arise. The majority of our clients are convenience stores or gas stations. The chief complaints are the exorbitant taxes, extra fees imposed on small businesses, especially when their business is not recognized by the city. Just a moment, please. Okay, their main concern, the store's main concern is that when their businesses are open, no one stops by and say, welcome to the neighborhood or welcome to Mobile, or to let them know that I'm the council that represents you in this area. If you have any concerns, needs, please let me know. They have stated several times that they feel very slighted by the city of Mobile, and when Mobile is saying that we are a business-friendly city, and that's not proven with the small businesses. In fact, what I was talking about with the business license, in order for a convenience store or gas station to get their business license, they have to show a report where they've for their gasoline purchases. Those gas pumps are not owned by the stores; they're owned by the oil companies, and the oil companies has not been made to pay the taxes. I brought this to the attention of the Revenue Department last year, and they seemed to be surprised because they thought or assumed, I suppose, that they did. For all the service stations and convenience stores over the years here in Mobile that's been improperly taxing these businesses, they should be given a refund because they were taxed for something that they do not own or they do not owe. So I'm standing here on behalf of just some of the small businesses. You know, we're just asking that the city treats the small businesses, the gas stations, the corner stores, the same way you treat Airbus. Everybody's talking about Airbus, 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 Airbus. But these small businesses, they feel the void in the drought areas in the city. They feel the void for many people who don't have transportation, who can't get to Walmart or to a Publix or Costco. And so they are very reliant on those stores, but the store owners, they feel like they're invisible when it comes down to the city of Mobile, especially when it comes down to taxes. They're being taxed. 2 years ago, I stood before you regarding one of my clients that the city forced him to pay $13,000 to get a fire hydrant put in front of his building when there was 4 fire hydrants right there on Spring Hill Avenue. And so to this day, nothing has been done about it.
Dr. Egan,
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming. The administration have heard you in your cry, but I appreciate you bringing that to our attention and everything.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
All right, bye-bye.
Madam Clerk.
Dennis McGuire.
All right, good morning. All right, my name is Dennis McGuire. I'm been a member of Connie Hudson Senior Center for over 5 years. I go to the center almost every day. I've had open heart surgery, and like many others, I rely on the use of the fitness room to stay healthy, out of the hospital, and alive. The condition of our fitness room has created a personal health hazard. It's disgusting. We have equipment that's broken, worn out, and needs to be replaced. Our senior and therapeutic programming supervisor, DeQuell Robinson, estimates it will take about $40,000 to replace the needed equipment. Chad Collins, our superintendent of recreation, told me that there are no funds available for new equipment, and they may or might be able to include it in the new budget in October, 6 months from now. If this were your father, mother, or grandparent, wouldn't you want them to have a longer, healthier life? We desperately need the money to make that happen now. Our lives depend on it. Please help us update our senior center fitness room by assuring the funds needed. Your vote for funding this equipment will be greatly appreciated by the many seniors at Connie Hudson Senior Center. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nettie Pendleton.
Honorable Council, my name is Nettie Pendleton, and I come again today to speak to you about the clean air in the Longcroft District on 306 Brentwood Avenue. Morning and night, air is coming inside of my house when I have my windows up, and it's flowing from somewhere in the community, and more precisely from my neighbors. There's odor in the yard. There's odor coming through the air conditioning unit. When I walk outside to mow my lawn or cut my grass or trim my bushes, something is stinging me. In July of last year, I went to the hospital because my back was stinging me. It was on fire. They gave me some Benadryl. When I got to the hospital, I passed out. I awakened 6 days later. They had to intubate me because I was consumed by whatever toxic chemical that had been emitted in the yard. So I was exposed, my respiratory system was exposed. I was exposed dermatologically. I was exposed eyes, and my whole body, my hair, everything was burning on me. My doctor advised me that the stinging was a burn. Today, they have not been able to find out what it was that caused that. They said that my personal physician said they could not delineate it, but I have yet to get my clothing from the hospital. This has been going on for some time. If you were to come to my yard, you would see, it was quite visible, the damages done to the bushes in my yard. Mobile, Alabama does not have a health facility that is able to do anything about chemical exposure. If you go to the hospital, they don't know how to handle it. There's not an epidemiologist here that can test your blood or do anything about it. Mobile Infirmary has clinics here in Mobile. They do not accept private citizens. They only receive people who are employees at chemical companies. That has been the problem for years. This started in 2011, and I am still alive by the grace of God. Another thing I want to speak about, and I know you've already done it, is that I would like to say to the council that I appreciate everything that you're doing for the people in the community. And as it pertains to your annexation, I know you've already heard this, I want to say, let justice come down like rain and water flow like righteousness flow like a ever-flowing stream. And remember the transgression, and we call it racial discrimination. Remember, there is a cumulative
Mrs. Pendleton,
voting.
yeah, thank you so much for coming down. I'm going to ask Ms. Brown, could you get with Mrs. Pendleton and probably get her with some information to try to get in touch with like EPA or somewhere in that nature about her air and everything? Okay, then. They're going to work with you, Ms. Pendleton. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Marvin Liu.
Good morning, Council, Administration, and citizens of Mobile. Marvin Liu, 5799 Southland Drive, Mobile, Alabama, 36693. Turning practice into policy. Over the last 2 months, a call for a moratorium on the execution and enforcement of no-knock warrants and flashbang entrance devices by law enforcement in the city of Mobile have been met with words of assurance that these are not commonplace practices that are implemented by those who are charged to protect and serve the citizens of the port city. While it is comforting to know that the hearts of those in authority are compassionate to our communities, it is now time, it is past time, and it is necessary to turn practice into policy. While there are no federal law that governs no-knock warrants, each state has its own laws and regulations regarding no-knock warrants. Some states have banned them altogether, while others have placed restrictions on their use. In the state of Alabama, the enforcement of this practice has been left to its municipalities to create policy for their usage, as seen in Birmingham in July of 2021, where rules and revisions were written into their officer interaction policy and procedures. Today, a mandate to no-knock warrants and flashbang explosive devices to force entry into residence can no longer be practice. It must be policy by June 1, 2023. Today, clear, transparent, efficient, and expedient investigations of law enforcement involved incidents, including the release of all law enforcement body camera of said incidents, and make this practice of transparency into a set policy as a mandated act with law enforcement encounters with civilians in Mobile by June 2023. Countless names are connected to police-involved shootings that took life, but those communities took the time to implement policy reforms to correct practices that caused irreparable harm. We have the opportunity to do the same and set the stage for the state to follow suit. There will come a time that there will be a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph. However, policy in place we will not have to rely on favor, but on the written word that even a runner can read and understand it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jamie Bett, please. Jamie Betby's regarding ordinance 01023.
I'm Jamie Betbys, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to speak now or when the ordinance comes up for appearance. So if now is the time. I am a resident of Mobile, 1210 Selma Street, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the ordinance that is being presented regarding the MHDC. I would like to say to the council that we have worked very hard on this ordinance since it was proposed, I think, about 2 months ago. I certainly want to thank Councilman William Carroll for his leadership in working through some modifications to the ordinance that were proposed by current members of the MHDC, and I think that has made some improvements to the ordinance that have been accepted by the administration. Also want to thank Councilman Ben Reynolds for his participation in that process and helping to work through some of those issues. And so I do believe that what is before the council now is a good, workable ordinance that will be favorable, and I appreciate your giving us the opportunity to review it and modify it and now bring it before the council at this point. Thank you.
Katie Herndon. Following Katie Herndon is Shalila Dowdy.
Good morning. My name is Katie Herndon. A city is only as strong as its weakest neighborhood. Campground, The Bottom, Trinity Gardens, Maysville, Navco, Pleasant Valley, Hillsdale, Plateau. I could go on. These neighborhoods are desperately underserved and, dare I say, forgotten about. Until we can take care of what we've got, we have no business bringing in more people with miles of infrastructure to take care of. The mayor and his administration said each annexation option would achieve 4 goals. In my eyes, they fail on all 4. Goals 1 and 2, keep Mobile's status as a Black majority city and ensure the voting age population in 4 of Mobile's 7 council districts remains majority minority. All proposed areas bring the percentage down from what we accomplished during redistricting, which we were required to do by law. And by the way, it was a severe compromise, and it will not be viable if we annex these proposed areas. Goal 3, bring Mobile's population above 200,000. It will bring in more population from that area, but there is no accounting for the population we are losing and we will continue to lose. This is the most important piece to this annexation puzzle. Why are we losing population and what do we do to stop it? Annexing doesn't solve the thousands leaving Mobile yearly. Those thousands are not going west. They're going east and to other cities. Goal 4, ensure the revenue will exceed the expenditures. These proposed areas will be given tax exemptions for 5 years. From what I understand, this means Mobile County School System, the largest school district in the state, will not get normal revenue it receives for 5 years. That could be detrimental to some of our inner city schools. This is something that needs to be clarified and looked into before anything moves forward. I have lived in Mobile for almost 10 years. I'm speaking as a mom who is raising a child here. We have serious internal issues that need to be dealt with before we bring in more people. It is easy to look to the future when you live in a neighborhood that is well manicured, safe, equitable, and livable. Take a ride through those neighborhoods I mentioned. You will see where we need to be spending efforts to make the city better and bring dignity to those left out. If we truly want Mobile to grow, we must move Mobile forward by creating a city that attracts people and businesses and promotes quality of life to its current citizens who have chosen to live within the city. The issues that prevented annexation from moving forward last time the city council voted still exist today. What has changed? What is this administration and our elected officials going to do to ensure that everyone gets a piece of the pie? I ask that the city council not vote on these proposals until your constituents' questions are fully answered and that this process be truly transparent. After all, we are the ones who put you in those seats. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Shalila Dowdy, followed by Sabrina Mass.
Good morning to the City Council, Mayor's team, Office of the City Clerk, and those in attendance at today's meeting. I am Shalila Dowdy, and I reside at 1106 Savannah Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36604. I'm here to speak in opposition to annexation because doing so would dilute the Black voting power in the city of Mobile. For those of you who do not know, I am currently a plaintiff in the landmark voting rights case, Milligan versus Merrill, representing those in the 1st Congressional District of Alabama whose political voting power is currently diluted on the state level. The case was heard in front of the United States Supreme Court in October of 2023, and we are waiting for their decision. We are fighting for an additional congressional district where a Black or minority candidate can be elected. I bring up this profound case to highlight my personal role in fighting for equal and fair representation for those in my community. Last year, myself and others in the community advocated for fair maps in the redistricting process. I'm doing that on the state level, and now that I'm on my break from my first year of law school, I still have to do that once again at home on the local level. I am against annexation because it will dilute the Black political voting power in this city. If we do not fight for the power and leverage that we have, then it will be diminished and taken away through the disguise of acts such as annexation. Throughout the years, there have been obstacles and voter suppression tactics put in our way to prevent us from voting, such as the fear of being lynched, having to pass literacy tests, having to recite the preamble for the Constitution, and so much more. Today, the voter suppression continues, but in disguise through the rose-colored glasses of annexation. In August of 2022, a new 4th city council district was established where a minority candidate could possibly be elected. The new 4 proposed annexation areas do not clearly show that a Black voting age minority in that new district would still be present. After years of progress following the civil rights movement for more than a decade now, we have been moving backwards. At the same time, there have been efforts on the state and local level to both limit people's ability to vote and to take away the political power of Black and brown communities. Representation matters. It means our leaders have a seat at the table before decisions are made that affect our citizens. It means our community's concerns and priorities are part of the conversation. And it means the difference in getting projects in our community prioritized versus getting projects in our communities approved only in exchange for political favors. Many people do not understand the annexation process and how it will impact their community. The city should be more cognizant on educating its citizens and not keeping them in the dark. Today, I urge you not to vote for this proposal. Instead, add a measure to conduct a racial polarization study before you take up this proposal. We need to know that we will still have fair representation before any proposal is voted on. When it comes to voting on annexation in the city council members represent the people. Pay attention to what the people in your districts are saying. You represent them and not just yourself. Additionally, this vote should have been delayed simply because the voices of the citizens of District 6 are not being heard because they do not have a councilperson currently sitting in the seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sabrina Mass, followed by Roosevelt Edwards.
Good morning. Sabrina Mass, 1050 Belvedere Circle West. I would like to just mention briefly on annexation. Many have came opposed to annexation. The main problem is simply the fact that many citizens just have no trust in the current leadership. If there was more transparency, perhaps the citizens would be more at ease. There is no need for me personally to attack either side, because obviously at this point, you, the city council, clearly has made the decision on your stance and your votes. So it is for you to deal with and the future outcomes of your decisions. History will judge your votes. The other matter at hand is the fact that former Councilman Fred Richardson spoke at council last week on annexation. Myself and others were offended at the fact that after he addressed the council on annexation, council representative in District 1 was offended by Fred Richardson saying the word and Stand Up Mobile saying others in reference to a class of citizens that are not black or white. How are you offended when the, excuse me?
Stop the clock. Ms. Mass, you got to stay on the topic.
I said annexation and others. That is the topic. That is the topic.
Okay. Start your minutes back up.
I'm staying on topic. Did I get my time back?
I stopped the clock, but you just cannot attack another council member.
Excuse me?
I stopped the clock.
I'm not attacking. I'm saying the district.
Yes, ma'am. But you can't.
I'm not saying any names. If he said a name, I'm
yes.
saying the district. Thank you. I'm within my legal rights. Last week on annexation, myself and others were offended at the fact that after he addressed the council on annexation, council representative in District 1 was offended by Fred Richardson saying the word others in reference to a class of citizens that are not black or white. How are you offended when the city of Mobile has classified citizens on their documents as others from the very analyst PFM hired and retained to do the annexation study? So is PFM or Mayor Stimson racist? I think not. And I suggest if the word others is so offensive, then all documents in the United States of America should be scrubbed from being used on any form. And yes, Fred Richardson has said on many occasions there is only one race, the human race. He is correct. We are one race, but different ethnicities. He definitely is not a racist. He speaks with truth and passion, but no racist. In 2020, Fred Richardson was the sole council person that proposed changing the word race on all city forms and documents and replace it with the word ethnicity, and it passed. His statement was, it is time to drop color off the form. Perhaps one should speak on the facts instead of personal emotions and rhetoric. I am here to say, I am going to be the citizens of Mobile as I have been. Whatever the vote is, it is. I'm just hoping and praying that the city of Mobile, that some kind of way, whatever the decision is, we can stay. We can be unified. We can grow as a city. And I'm talking about in skin tone. I am sick and tired of coming down here and we're always about black or white. At the end of the day, we're people. I don't know what faith you believe in, but I believe in God and Jesus. And we cannot continue to be divided. We are going to fail in this city. we're going to be like other cities. So I'm not here to say anybody is racist. I've known all of you, even Mayor Stimson, for many years. No, you're not racist.
Ms. Mass, thank you so much.
Okay, well, you know, you could extend me that little 1 minute, CJ. Just one more minute.
If a councilman agreed to it, I would.
So nobody agrees? Well, you know what I'm saying.
Thank you, Ms. Mass.
Mayor Stimson, have
Thank
a
you,
nice
Ms. Mass.
day.
Thank you.
Roosevelt Edwards, followed by Reggie Hill.
Morning, Roosevelt Edwards, 3769 Shipes Lane, 36608. I understand from the mayor we're already going to have a vote on this today. And the mayor explained that we had complete transparency with the council. And again, the questions that I had were metrics, milestones, critical path, those things in which we did not see at our session a couple of weeks ago, where we only saw maps, some illustrations of the zones in which people were trying to look at populations from. I assume that, yes, these items are kind of hard to communicate, but it seems like we have a website which we could have pushed this data out on. And of course, at any time that anyone looks at best practices of other cities to associate what the risk management profile was for us going forward on this particular adventure. Because we want to look at the laws of unintended consequences. Sometimes they come along and beat you up, especially when the federal government could change their funding profile for how they want to distribute funds for what we're claiming when we go over 200,000 and the population. There is something else. The public generally has a negative view when people want to do a large project. And of course, the public here has some experiences with some of the projects that are ongoing, or even the city and its management. I put down a few storm drains on Spring Hill Avenue, restrooms at our park and recreational areas, dead animals on the street, and again, transparency on this particular project. We would like to see this kind of data pushed out, not only for this project, but future ones. What exactly, because the mayor said, hey, there was complete transparency and that you've been to several different meetings and that this data has been pushed out, but of course the public has not been able to look at that data and devour it along with you. So if we're going to communicate in this particular way, we're communicating strictly kind of one way. But we need to find a way in which we have a feedback loop in which people in the public understand what exactly is going forward. Thank you.
Just going to speak on the conditions of the streets and the drainage that you had spoke of. They should be listed up on the CIP projects on the internet. If not, any city issue, and this is for every citizen, if you see any type of city issue, including drainage, potholes, and et cetera, always dial 311 to get an SRO number. But I'm pretty sure that those items, not too sure what district you in, but those should be listed up under the CIP projects. And if it's as major as you're speaking of, which I don't know exactly what it is, I'm sure it should be listed up on the CIPs, and that is on the website. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Reggie Hill, followed by Bradley Byrne.
Mr. Hill. Madam Clerk.
Bradley Byrne, followed by Brent Barkin.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you today.
Most importantly, thank you for your service, and I know it is service on this council. My name is Bradley Byrne. I am the president and CEO of the Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce. The Mobile Chamber strongly supports annexation to grow the city of Mobile, and I'm here today to respectively ask you to allow the residents in the annexation area the opportunity to vote to join the city of Mobile. We are specifically supporting Survey Area A. Our future development is dependent on a strong, vibrant, and expanding city. Growing the city through annexation would benefit our entire region and solidify Mobile's significance as the economic engine of Southwest Alabama and the entire Gulf Coast region. Growing the city is vitally important to keep Mobile competitive with the cities we compete against for additional jobs and investment. Annexation is not a new concept. Mobile's growth and success throughout its history has been dependent on annexation, 21 times to be exact. The Mobile Chamber works every day to create opportunities for growth and to make sure this community is a top choice for investment. This process has been thoughtful and strategic. It is a smart plan and has been validated by a third party. I believe this is Mobile's golden age, and now is our time. The quality of people and place, coupled with the unprecedented regional collaboration from Mobile's leaders in business, government, nonprofits, and education, have allowed us to meet our challenges head on. There was a time when a small group of people controlled Mobile, and their philosophy was keep it small and keep it all. This is not that time. This is a different time. This is a better time. This is our time. Today, I ask you to vote for the future of our great city. On behalf of the Mobile Chamber and the more than 300 members who signed this letter, we ask you to vote for Study Area A. Thank you.
Brent Barkin, followed by Wanda Cochran.
Thank you, President Small. I'm Brent Barkin, Chair of the Mobile Chamber. On behalf of the Board of Directors, we strongly support annexation to grow the city and urge you to allow the residents in the proposed annexation areas to vote to join the city of Mobile. If we don't choose to grow now through annexation, we should only look to Birmingham to know what our future holds. Birmingham is ringed by other cities and strangled from growth. Birmingham was once twice the size of the city of Mobile. It's now roughly the same size as we are and starved for funds to provide even basic services to its citizens. With the Mobile River to our east, smaller municipalities to our north and northwest, City of Mobile will become landlocked by dozens of smaller cities and unable to grow now and in the future. The window of time to act is closing. The city's population has been on decline, falling from the second largest city in the state to the fourth. From 2010 to 20, the population decreased by 4%, projected to continue to decrease. However, during the same time, the population increased 13 to 14% in all four of the annexation scenarios and is continued to project it to continue to increase. Annexation would increase the population to more than 200,000, threshold of a mid-sized city, which gives us access to increased federal funding opportunities. For comparison, the city of Birmingham received $142 million in COVID relief funds. We received $52 million. The only primary difference was that Birmingham was slightly over 200,000 people. Mobile was not and is not. A city that is not growing is dying. Annexing the identified areas to the west of the city will benefit the entire city, providing additional revenue for all districts, all residents. I appreciate the opportunity to provide these comments today. I ask the City Council to unanimously vote in favor of annexation. Your united voice will broadcast to the entire region. It is the best decision for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wanda Cochran, followed by Marianne Merchant.
Good morning.
Morning.
Wanda Cochran, longtime resident of District 2. May is National Bicycle Month, so I want to wish you all happy cycling. If you have not been on a bicycle in a while, I suggest you get on one because it sparks joy every single time. I have submitted previously some written comments to you, so I'm not going to talk about that. There are 3 things that I think warrant your attention. Number 1, the text of the resolutions that are before you were not released until last week. There are some new maps, and we now know that the intention is to hold 4 separate elections. If the council agree with this approach, the reasons for doing so should be incorporated into the resolution because there is nothing in the PFM report that you ordered justifies this new approach. Number 2, the resolutions make no mention of the types and timing of services to be provided to the new area, yet the PFM report indicated that the administration intends to offer those services right of way. If the council agree, the plan should be reduced to writing and incorporated into the resolutions. Finally, you may want to consider asking for an Attorney General's opinion on the plan for services. And the reason I suggest that is because I don't have all the plans, but if what is in the PFM report goes forward, it will create a tax system that gives the new residents benefits that will not be enjoyed by the existing residents, at least for the first 5 years. So, to summarize, a decision of this magnitude, and this is a big deal, should be made with caution and deliberation. We have new information and we have new maps that were not part of the study, and a delay to figure that out will prejudice no one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Merchant, followed by Reverend Tony Allgood.
Good morning. My name is Mary Ann Merchant. I live at 401 Arosser Drive, and I'm president of the League of Women Voters of Mobile. I'm here today to speak to the 4 resolutions concerning annexation. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that believes that democratic government depends upon informed and active participation of citizens and requires that governmental bodies protect the public's right to know through adequate notice of proposed actions, open meetings, and making public records accessible. Public involvement and transparency in the democratic process builds public trust and increases public confidence that the decision-making process is fair. The impact of the procedure by which these resolutions were put before the City Council last week and the effect of that action on transparency and public trust in the decision-making process is the concern and focus of my comments today. Annexation is a complex process, and positions on the annexation vote among members of the community have differed widely. Clearly, this is an issue of high importance in Mobile. We appreciate that the Council has held public district meetings and provided other means of comment. However, transparency and informed participation in this situation requires more. Now that a specific proposal, these 4 resolutions, have been presented, it is necessary that the public have a full, fair opportunity to review and comment on the final product before the vote. This is a matter of not only of basic fairness, but also the appearance of fairness. We urge you to adhere to your usual policy of reviewing agenda items for 2 weeks and hold this matter over. Thank you. And I'd like to ask the members of the League of Women Voters to stand that are here with me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Reverend Tony Allgood, followed by Thomas Mitchell.
Reverend Tony Allgood, 214A DeSales Avenue, Mobile 36607. For too long, many of our neighborhoods have been neglected by city government, leaving them blighted with sidewalks, city streets, and city facilities in disrepair. R.V. Taylor Plaza, which is part of public housing, was allowed to go down, no maintenance done on it for years, and then we were told that HUD said you either repair it or tear it down. Well, that's very valuable property now because it's right next to where the new airport is going in. So, what's going to happen to all of these residents? Nothing's been done to assist them in finding affordable housing. Mobile is short on affordable housing now. You give them vouchers, it's counterfeit vouchers. Now, these communities are being told that the answer to these needs is to go out and get more residents and more infrastructure. It just doesn't make sense to take on tens of thousands of new residents and new city infrastructure when we can't afford to care for the city we already have. And it doesn't make sense to expect these communities to trust city government when city government will not answer their questions or provide any explanations. We have been told to rely on a study done by a company who regularly does business for this administration and which did not do any independent study of the proposal. The citizens of Mobile, especially those left behind for so long, deserve better. Please do not vote today on this measure. Instead, hold a true community meeting where the community's questions can be answered and, more importantly, are actually answered. When I look around today, I see a lot of suits here. And I'm sure there are developers here that will benefit from annexation. But what is the benefit going to be to the people that live in these communities that were previously noted, where there's still tarps on the roof, where in one, in Oaklawn Homes, the roof fell in, injured one inhabitant. So they filed suit, they won, and then they were evicted.
Thank you.
Thomas Mitchell, followed by Betty Shin.
Mr. Mitchell. Madam Clerk.
Betty Shin.
Good morning, all. Betty Shin, 36 McPhillips Avenue. I stand today again in opposition to annexation. PFF used Plano, Texas, with a population of 300,000 to compare the annexation of Mobile. Plano is the Beverly Hills of Dallas. Even the mayor said parts of Mobile looks like third world nation. That was at James Seals community meeting. It's a surprise that the most neglected neighborhoods are.
Ms. Shin, stop the clock, Lena. Please, I might ask everyone, please cease your talking. We have a speaker down front that's addressing the council. Your voice is projecting up here. Again, I might ask everyone, please cease your private talking. Ms. Shin, you can start back up. You can start the clock. Thank you.
Okay, it's no surprise that the most neglected neighborhoods reflect the ethnicity of Mobile. History has not changed the neglect of predominantly black neighborhoods. A promise of an additional $2 or $3 million in CIP money is crumbs to these neglected neighborhoods. It's not equal to it's me trying to fix up my small house with $20 or $30. 60 days using PFS as justification, and they did a survey that took 60 days of research. Really? This is your reason to vote for annexation, and you are basing this report on what will happen in 10 years? And that's after you spend $1 billion to annex. New garbage trucks, new police cars, SUVs will be purchased. You guys must not add more financial responsibility to a city where the poor and homeless suffer, and the rich and the powerful will use this annexation to become richer and more powerful. I pray for the David and Goliath situation of this annexation. We, the ordinary citizens, are sitting on this side, and the people with the most money and the most to gain from annexation is sitting on that side. The lack of transparency leads me to say, shame, shame, shame for the lack of transparency. There has been no transparency. And find out why the people are leaving and fix that. Thank you.
Gregory Harris, followed by Fred Wheeler.
Good morning.
Morning.
Gregory Harris, 301 Chedester Avenue. I've been to numerous meetings on annexation, and I've noticed the majority of the current citizens of Mobile seem to overwhelmingly oppose annexation based upon those I've seen here speaking on this issue. While we've heard a strong outcry in favor of annexation from those outside of Mobile. Now, in what world do people outside of a city have more voice and influence than those living within the city? As I was sitting here, I heard a gentleman say that all 4 annexation areas have grown in population. Now, we talk about Mobile declining while these areas have grown, which means that these people have left Mobile to go over here and now they want back in. Has anyone ever asked the question of why we're declining and have tried to address that issue merely on that merit alone? Or are we content to just make the building bigger? It's as if I had a restaurant, right? And I had declining dining numbers, but the place right next to me was growing. Now, I didn't check my practices on the inside, so what sense does it make for me to buy this building over here so I can make an even bigger mess than I already have right here? How about we focus on what we've heard our citizens repeatedly say? I've heard members of our own protective services and police departments say they are worried because they feel like we are overstretched as is. What will we do to improve the circumstances in this city to encourage people to remain? Because if we make the pile bigger, it's just a bigger pile. That's it. No gain to our citizens. I encourage you, I implore you to decline the request, to listen to your citizenry and say no to annexation and yes to growing the fundamental principles of Mobile and its citizens and make us all stronger from within. That will build us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred Wheeler, followed by Dale Sawyer.
Freddie Wheeler, 8405 Sterling Drive, Mobile, Alabama, Secretary of the West Mobile Annexation Committee and biker. Let us vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dale Sawyer, followed by Byron Daniel.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. President C.J. Small, thank you very much for your leadership. I'm Dale Sawyer, 2609 crossing Oaks Drive West. Thank you, Mayor, and your team for the leadership that you've given, and President Small for the leadership of the council, and getting us to this point is truly appreciated by the people in West Mobile as we look for solutions to solidify our fire protection, and not only fire protection, EMS and police needs. You know, when we first started this campaign over 4 years ago, close to 5 years ago, we, Fred Wheeler and my team, we decided integrity was the most important thing that we had. We had to be able to speak the truth to the people and be able to back it up. And when we made a mistake, we had to correct ourselves in public and let people know that it was a mistake. We have done that. And as I see that the mayor's team and the city council has attempted to do the same thing, that's the only way that you can move forward and bring people together. I'll say that, you know, I've worked in the very close with people, thousands of people in the communities of districts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the most part, and 6 over 40 years, and the negative comments are not the comments from the people that I know and have built relationships with. I'll say it was very encouraging to me to hear Clinton Johnson come up here and speak the words that he spoke, and that enforced the people that I know that are for a one Mobile, that are for people working together for a common cause to make a better life for everyone. Because my neighborhood is only good if the people in your neighborhoods are good, and we have to work together to build a great Mobile. Thank y'all for your leadership. You have a pleasant day.
Thank you.
Byron Daniel, followed by Reverend Milton Sappho.
Reverend Daniels? Okay, you passed. Reverend stuff. Okay.
To Council President Smalls and other city council persons, our mayor and his staff. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Reverend Dr. Milton E. Sappho, pastor of the historic Stone Street Baptist Church. I reside at 1755 Maryvale Street South, and I am a registered voter. I stand before you this morning in support of annexation, although there are some questions that remain unsettled. I support this venture because, like you, I foresee a bright future for our city, one that is filled with potential both culturally and economically. What I see from you is a clear vision for the city going forward, for where there is no vision, the people perish. This vision, as I see it, includes opportunities for industrial as well as community growth. This will allow for revenue to come into the city coffers that will offset any losses that may be occurring at the beginning. It will take time. The annexation that included Schillinger Road is a good example. It is now a thriving part of our city. There was growth in population, but growth in commerce as well. Your vision, I believe, bodes well for the city of Mobile. As far as the question of diluting the voting strength of minorities, the U.S. Census by law delegated the 4 minority city council districts for our city. That remains in effect for 10 years until another census is taken. What hurts us is our indifferent attitude when it comes to voting. Our strength lies in our representation through our vote. As of 2021, there were over 140,000 registered voters in the city of Mobile. Over 70,000 were registered black voters. Over 65,000 were registered white voters, and a little over 4,000 registered voters listed as others. Of that total, only a little over 33,000 cast votes, while over 106,000 chose not to vote. Not voting dilutes the district representation and authority within our city government, and it silences the voice and weakens the vote of the citizens within our community. I close with a challenge to you to continue to raise a standard to the people of our city, and I want to offer you a challenge. There are two biblical characters, Shamgar and Esther. Both by different means and under different circumstances worked and even fought to save their nation, and they succeeded. There was a small band of men from the tribe of Issachar who had an understanding of the times and knew what had to be done to save Israel. They worked together for the good of the people. Let's come together, work out our differences through continued open community forum with openness and honesty.
Pastor, I
Thank
hate
you.
to cut you off. Thank you.
I'm ready now to take up. I'm ready now to open the doors to the church.
Yes.
Give me 40 seconds. For somebody to give me 40 seconds, I don't even want them in.
Granted.
I can't.
I can.
God
Granted.
bless you.
Well, what the council member
I'll
granted.
give you the 40 seconds. 40 seconds.
Council member granted.
40 seconds. Let's come together, work out our differences through continued open community forums with openness and honesty, and move forward for the good of Mobile. It's your time. Let history be kind in this chronicling of your service, and not look back with regret as some of our other cities have at lost opportunities, all dressed up with no place to go and no more room for growth. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Madam Clerk.
That's all. That's all. Oh, okay. Ordinance is held over. 01023, ordinance to amend Chapter 44, Article 4, Mobile City Code, entitled Historic Preservation.
So moved.
Second.
And properly moving second. Any discussion?
Just, Mr. President, again, let me thank everybody that was involved in the process of finding common ground in this. I appreciate, again, the administration also yielding to the request to add additional seats to this. There was a lot of give and take. Nobody has gotten everything that they want, and it's a good place for us to be right now. I think this is the closest that we as a city and a historic preservation community have ever come to being almost 100%, I should say, in parallel with the state enabling act on this. It's a good thing for the city. Let's move forward, and let's continue to do the preservation work that we're doing here in our city. But let's remember this, as I said in the meeting, there are a lot of historic places in our city that don't fall under the local delegated act, where they're locally protected. There are houses and structures that are far older than even some of the houses in Oakley that reside in places like Lower MLK that we are constantly just tearing down and getting rid of. We've got to find a way to also protect those properties that aren't within those areas too. So let's keep working forward and making progress so that we can protect every structure that we can, so that our history lives within our city. Thank you, Mr. President. I look forward to having this be a unanimous vote.
Any other discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item pass.
Consent resolutions held over 37447 and 37448 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a lounge retail liquor Class 2 package store license to Viking Liquor Store on Halls Mill Road, and for issuance of a retail beer table wine off-premises only license to Viking Convenience Store on Halls Mill Road.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. In discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item pass.
CIP resolutions held over. 21503, authorized contracts Watkins AC Strunk Design for new tennis courts, pickleball courts, and associated parking at Crawford, Murphy, Hillsdale, and Stotts Parks.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. In discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions held over. 21-293, authorized performance contract with Friends of Mobile Historic Development. 01467, authorized agreement with the state of Alabama for 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail, Section 6N. 21476, authorized change order number 2 with McCrory and Williams for design and engineering service for the 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail, Section 3. 21479, authorized contract with McElwain Construction, Inc. for the construction of the 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail, Section 6N. 08504, approved purchase order to Carrier Corporation for chiller for Ben May Library. 08505, approved purchase order to Carasoft Technology Corp. for annual subscription for Microsoft 365 Cloud backup software. 08506, approved purchase order to Leads Online LLC for annual subscription renewal for crime investigation software. 08507, approved purchase order to CDW Government for subscription to renewal for malware bytes protection software. 08508, approved purchase order to Mike Hoffman Equipment Services, Inc. for rental of gas tank for municipal garage. 25509, accept easement from the Mobile Housing Authority to construct the trail and trailhead for the 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail. 31510, authorized grant application to the Department of Homeland Security. 6511, 512, 513, are authorizing settlement agreements and release of claims. 02517, 518, 519, and 520 are declaring the public good requires that certain territory shall be. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll take those.
Madam
separate.
Clerk,
I'll take those
request that those be taken separate, please.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Okay.
Madam, Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
I'd request that we just take all of these at one time.
Yes.
All four at one time.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Carroll.
call for a voice vote by roll call.
Where's your grant? Madam Clerk.
02517, 518, 519, 520 are declaring that the public good requires that certain territory shall be brought within the limits of the city of Mobile pursuant to and in accordance with Title 11, Chapter 42, Article 3 of the Code of Alabama.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. In the discussions, Councilman Penn.
Thank you, Councilman President Small. I want to thank all the speakers that came down. I definitely appreciate every person that came to the council meeting, every phone call that I received during this time. I definitely wanted to listen. One of the main concerns when I took this seat, I wanted to make sure that we got the resources to District 1, and I wanted to make sure that we moved the city forward. That was my ultimate goal. And making any decision, I listened to every speaker and I listened to the residents. And I wanted to make sure that I hear from my community. And from majority of the response, the community wanted to see their community different. They wanted to see resources. They wanted to see more housing. They wanted to see infrastructure. They wanted to see these things. And so for me, the only way to be able to do that is to make sure that we get more funding. We have to get more funding in our community. We have to get those more resources. And so for that to happen, you have to find ways to be able to do that. And so I was excited that when the report came back with the annexation with the party, the third party that said that we will be able to get $105 million more in the 10 years. That's major to me because now we can do more in our inner city communities. I think that's important. Another major part was before we did this was redistricting. Just like Dr. Sadfo stated that
we still will have 4 majority black districts. I think that was important. Representation matters. And moving the city forward, we will still have that. I think some false information was put out. But we will be able to still have those majorities. Representation matters. And I believe when moving the city forward where representation matters, and now having the most money that the city will be able to have in this history, that's power. And so today, going forward, I believe that it's the best move for our city to move forward. I believe it was different. If the numbers was different from African American to white, I believe I would do the same thing. I think going forward, we can't keep focusing on just race. I always want to make sure you do the fair thing. And that's what I would want, and that's what I did with redistricting. That's why I supported the 53% in District 7, because I believe that that was the fair thing to do. And I believe that's what we should do moving forward with anything. We should do the fair thing, the best thing. During last week council meeting, when I spoke about others, I wasn't speaking about the terminology of others, but I was speaking about categorizing, putting a race and saying Native American or Hispanic in a certain category and saying that they're going to vote with whites. Never call a council member racist. Never called anybody racist. I would never do anything like that. But I said that that was dangerous to category, and I wasn't even speaking to our former council member Richardson. I was saying that that's dangerous to put that type of information out there, because I believe that for us to move forward, we got to do it together. We got to be in unity. And so that's my reason. And so my decision today, my vote today is going to say that I want to move our city forward. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. District 2, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. On November 1st of this past year, in the inaugural address that was presented by me, the first things out of my mouth were redistricting and annexation. And the first things that came out of my mouth were the order in which they had to happen to ensure that a certain process took place in the city to ensure a positioning based on the census count. We accomplished that. We accomplished that and made history on that date, and we brought forth a new minority district into the city that is 53% to 41% and whatever the other is. I've seen projections of what might happen in the future, and those projections leave that disparity the way it is. It protects districts 1, 2, and 3 the way they are. Now, the questions people ask about how many people coming into the city, we don't know that yet. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't project if we're going to get 25,000 or 13,000. But know that those things are protected and will be protected. I heard about neighborhoods from my district that have been underserved over so many years. But then when I thought about it, I thought about this. So many of us move away from our family homes in our neighborhoods. We move out west. We get a brick home. We think, we've done all we can, but we leave behind the home that we have and we don't take care of it. We leave it out there. We don't cut the grass. We let it fall apart. But then we turn around and say somebody else needs to take care of it for us. And it becomes blighted. It falls down. We got to do a better job of that ourselves in our own communities. Just the other day, someone posted a picture of a house on Ann Street that burned down. and said that the city was neglecting it. But however, they didn't know that it had already been on the agenda as an emergency declaration, that the city had to post notice to the owners that it needed to be torn down. It's in the process of being taken care of, but still yet, we slighted it as the city not doing business in neighborhoods that were neglected. We state that we need revitalization in communities, but what are we doing to help revitalize those communities ourselves with our own properties? We need to also invest in our own properties to bring those back. I want to tell you that the city has a plan for revitalization of Lower MLK and the campground. There will be funding for those. The Tiger Grant moves forward, I think, in design phase in about 6 months. I've also requested that money from my CIP be given to those neighborhoods that surround the Tiger Grant. There was a fire station that was to be built with a total of $3 million. That fire station will no longer be built, but that $3 million will be directed expressly to that area for infrastructure problems and needs in what we are calling an underserved area. So we're moving those areas forward. So now we're talking about voter dilution. And maybe this may be improper for an elected official to say, but I heard a pastor just say that 106,000 people didn't vote. Didn't vote. Didn't vote. A voice cannot be heard that doesn't speak. A voice cannot be heard that doesn't speak. So if we're going to be heard, then we've got to speak some kind of way. So that 106,000 people, whether it was black or white or other, that number is 3 times the number of people that voted. 3 times. So if we're going to be heard, then let us be heard by voting. And let us turn out in numbers that we've never turned out before to ensure that that voice is heard, because that's the way we speak when we want things. I've heard that we want a minority mayor. You know, it may be great. You know, it'd be great to have another minority mayor. But let me make a few statements about our past minority mayor. Our past minority mayor had an annexation attempt. Some of us thought it was crazy. But look at the benefits it's reaped throughout the future. Oh, God, we don't want to do it. We're scared. It's going to change this. We're not going to get anywhere with it. It's going to hurt us. But it has blossomed into something that is carrying us further than we ever thought it would. He passed the penny sales tax, and everybody went crazy. We're not going to do that. It's going to hurt us. But now the penny tax that was supposed to cover $18 million is pushing $20, $30 million a year, and it's giving us the surplus of $111 million that we have. That was a decision made boldly to move the city forward towards the future, to protect the city, to grow the city, not just but with one group, but with all groups that live within the city. We have an administration now that reaps the benefit of every decision made at that time. Annexation, which generated additional revenue, and a penny sales tax. But at the time, we all whimpered and cried, it's dissolution, the city's going to fall apart. But now we're proud of it and boasting the fact that we can do CIP projects that we could never do before. This is about the future. This is about my 15-year-old daughter that in 10 years or 20 years, I want to live here and have the opportunities that I have or better. This is about the grandkids that I'm looking for this city to be a prosperous city. This is about unification and moving us to a point that we've never been before. Mobile is on the precipice of one of the most golden times that we've ever seen. And the only way to do this is that we be able to move it forward. We be able to grow. And I guarantee you, this probably won't be the only opportunity or time that we have to grow. And we're going to have to make some other hard decisions in the future about growth and which way we're going to grow and how we're going to do it. But today, Mr. President, my vote is for annexation. Let's move the city forward.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. District 4, Mr. Reynolds, anything?
I will be brief because I'm ready to call for the question. This is a big day for the citizens of Mobile and the citizens of the region. To give the citizens in West Mobile an opportunity to vote and move this to the next step in the process. I hope that everyone looks past the vote today and gets to work to make sure that because we've extended this opportunity, we take full advantage of it and try to get folks out to vote and vote in favor of it. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. District 5, Mr. Days, anything?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Today, as the mayor has said, is a historic day in the city of Mobile. Very historic day. I think he said maybe once in a 4-year period. I think it's once in a generation. I think that the importance of this vote today cannot be overstated. Now, it's just one step. It's the first step. The next step is for the folks in these areas to vote. But whether they all vote to come into the city of Mobile or not, we can say one thing about this vote today. It was the triumph of hope over fear. It was the triumph of progress over stagnation. And it was the triumph of trust over distrust. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Days. District 7, Mr. Vice President Gregory, anything?
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to thank the speakers who have come to our council meetings to let us know their opinions, as well as coming to our district meetings. Thank you very much also to the administration, in particular to Chief Barber, who has worked tirelessly with members of this community and the City Council to enable us to bring this proposal forward. I support growing my city, our city. I support being a part of helping my city to prosper. I support welcoming new residents to our city who want to be a part of Mobile. And if this resolution passes today and they choose to join us, they'll receive the very same benefits that all of our citizens do, and that includes representation. You know, those who have come to us that have been seeking to become residents have asked for nothing more than that. The same benefits that we all enjoy, nothing more. You know, I also support the idea and the very real possibility of us having another $1 million in capital spending in my district and in each of the districts in the city, with the additional revenue that will come into the city with this successful and certainly hopeful successful annexation vote today to allow for a referendum. The information that we have talked about on the revenue side is all detailed in the PFM report. I think you've all read it and certainly heard about the net proceeds versus the expenses. And just the first year alone, we'll see $6 million in just the worst case scenario. All of the revenues that will come into the city based on the PFM report, which is what the City Council ordered, and it is the worst case scenario, all of that will cover picking up the garbage and the trash, a service that our neighbors to the west don't enjoy. They have to pay for private companies to come pick up their garbage, and they may haul off their own trash to the dump and then have to pay for it there. But also, our first responders will continue servicing these areas with a successful vote, but they will also enjoy emergency medical services. And I think that's something that is very important to our neighbors out west, especially as they go to the polls to consider becoming a part of the city of Mobile. Looking at what has been referred to as Map A, and they make up 4 parcels, and that's Kings Branch, Orchard Estates, the Airport Corridor, and Cottage Hill Corridor. And I'm hoping that as they do go to the poll to consider becoming a part of Mobile, that these benefits, these very real benefits to our citizens, will be something that they consider. But remember today, the City Council isn't passing annexation. All we're doing is putting a proposal on the table today that we will vote on to allow people in these areas the right to vote, to become a citizen of the city of Mobile. If we move this proposal forward today with the yes vote, then a referendum will be set. And just like we've done before, I think William mentioned the fact that there have been other annexations under other administrations. I've been a part of multiple annexation attempts in this city. This is not doing anything new when you have different blocks or precincts that vote separately and stand on their own. We did this in 2007 when parts of Theodore and all of Mobile Terrace came in, and we attached revenue. We attached retail to each of these blocks so that the costs were, so that the revenues rather offset any cost in these areas, and we were able to do what we promised the people in Mobile Terrace that we would do at the time. The residents out west now are not asking for anything other than the benefits that we already receive. I've supported moving our city forward, like I said, in other annexations. And there have been a lot of hard votes on this city council. In the 18 years I've been on this council, I've been involved in a lot of very difficult issues and taking a lot of votes, and sometimes they were not popular votes, especially that 1 penny sales tax. That was a very difficult vote back then. But like William mentioned, it has been a very popular item today because it has been able to fund all of the capital work that we're doing. Initially, it was because the city was in such dire straits, we really couldn't even keep our doors open had we not done this. But as time progressed and things got better, we were able to move it over to the capital improvement program, which we all enjoy today. We all enjoy the infrastructure improvements that we see today thanks to this capital improvement program. And it was something that the council put together to divide it by district so that we each had that $3 million. And with this proposal today, we look at getting another $1 million in our districts to help make our neighborhoods more sustainable. You know, we talk about why do people leave? Well, they see something better somewhere else. But we need to make Mobile the better choice. Our neighborhoods have to be sustainable. We have to support our neighbors. We have to support neighborhood plans and then adhere to those plans so that people want to live in Mobile. We need to grow our city. We cannot be boxed in by anybody who is looking to annex from another city or trying to incorporate. Approving this proposal today, I believe, is the right thing to do for our city, our current citizens, and those who live in West Mobile and who would like to become our citizens.
All right, thank you, Vice President Gregory. In 3 months from now, which will be August, it will be 1 year since I personally started having some meetings with several groups that represent citizens, you know, across the city, including the NAACP, state legislators, groups such as Stand Up Mobile, ministers, the Ministers Alliance, former elected city officials, and current elected city officials. When I had heard about, you know, that the possibility of annexation was going to come back up again, you know, I reached out to the administration and asked them would they meet with several groups of people that represent the citizens of the communities of Mobile, and they agreed to. And again, the first time I had that meeting was August of 2022. And I do appreciate the administration for being at every meeting I invited them to come to. This will be my first time voting for it. I've been on this council for 11 years. And every time annexation came before this council, I voted no. The last time that it was passed, when we had invited, I believe it was Derby subdivision back in 2019, every council member, District 1, District 2, District 4, District 5, District 6, District 7, they voted for it. District 3 was the only district. CJ Small was the only person that did not vote for it. Why not? Because I was saying, what about my community? What about the ditches? What about the wave pool at Duval Park? What about Tremere Park? What about the concession stands? None of that wasn't addressed at all. It wasn't even talked about. What about Taylor Park? It wasn't even talked about at all. It seemed like we were just trying to just go and do something. And I voted no then, and because I was more concerned about my community, Reverend Steffall came down and he stole my scripture for the day, Proverbs 29:18. And it said, where there's no vision, the people perish. And since August of 2022, we had got concerns of those individual groups as well what they really concerned about annexing. And one of the main things was, what about the community? You know, and I appreciate the administration laying out several things that had happened, that is happening, and that is going to happen. You know, and the main question is about growing the city inside. You know, and the administration have laid out plans, you know, publicly of what they plan on doing about growing the city inside. You know, someone asked a question earlier, you know, what has changed? A lot has changed, because the other times that the organization had came before the council, it was no plans presented to C.J. Small. Now there have been some plans to address Taylor Park. There have been some plans to address, you know, Boys and Girls Club. Been some plans to address several streets that within District 3. There's been some plans to address several parks in District 3. You know, Rome wasn't built overnight. These issues did not happen overnight. These issues was presented before C.J. Small was born. But with the plan that we got before us, with the visions that we got before us, I believe it's time for our city to move forward. I have stated this several times. When I was a little boy, my dad and I used to ride up and down the roads of Alabama. I used to see the different tags that say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I asked Dad, what the 1 stand for? His response back was to me, that was the size of the city. You know, 1 was Birmingham, 2 was Mobile, 3 was Montgomery, and etc. But where is Birmingham today? Where is Mobile today? You know, where is Huntsville today? Huntsville was not in those top numbers at all. But if you look at Huntsville, and currently Huntsville is the #1 city in Alabama. You know, in 2030, which is just only 7 years away, Huntsville is predicting to have between 250,000 to 260,000 residents in its city. Again, that's only 7 years away. 10 years ago, C.J. Small would have not imagined Huntsville, Alabama, to be in the predicament that it is today. Again, in 7 years, they're going to predict to have between 250,000 to 260,000 residents. And the question is, what is moving the residents to Huntsville? You know, and the question is today for Mobile, you know, what are we going to do? Yes, we see people flighting out of Mobile daily, but what are we going to do? And this is going to just take more than just this council. It's going to take more than just the administration. It's going to take the housing board. It's going to also have to take the school board. And they're also going to have to take the residents to see when they see crime to report crime. You know, we know it. I went to D.C. probably back in 2 months ago, back in March. And there was a class that was dealing with ARPA funding, And nobody didn't predict COVID would come. You know, there was a class for small cities. There was a class for middle-sized cities. And there was a class for large cities. And, of course, Mobile fit into the medium cities. You know, the question is, what could have been done with the millions of dollars that we missed if we was a large city when COVID had hit? Now, don't get me wrong, COVID was bad for many people. Many people lost their lives behind it. But again, many cities was blessed because of the COVID money. But how more blessing would Mobile would have been if we would have reached that 200,000 mark? How many ditches could have been possibly closed? How many roads could have been possibly fixed? How many parks could have been possibly fixed? How many, residents could have benefit off the millions of dollars that we have lost? I ain't gonna say that we could have got 130 million or 100 million. Probably just $10 more million would have did the Mobile justice. I just cannot just sit back no longer and just let my city just keep losing integrity, keep losing citizens and not trying to just replace it. The administration have laid out a plan as what they're planning on doing to grow the city inside and outside. We have big industries that's here, not just coming that is here. Airbus plan on bringing in hundreds of more employees. We got to make sure that we welcome the people into Mobile, into a place that we can just enjoy living every day, enjoy playing every day, and also enjoying working every day. Again, as one of my colleagues has stated, we were, worried about the majority, which C.J. Small is too, because I thank God for people like the late Michael Figures, because it wasn't for him, C.J. Small won't be sitting here. But the issue that I have is that you only have 76% of people staying at home on election day. Only 24% of people going to the polls on election day. Mobile, it's time to stand up for that. It's time to also stand up for crime, making sure that our younger generation know that there is a tomorrow, that there is an Ulster out there trying to give them a job, that there is an Airbus out there trying to give them a job. It's time for us to also stand up for education, not just the education in the Mobile County public school system, but for young men and ladies that's out there in the streets and that don't have a job. It's time to stand up and show them that there is a future. They do have a future still, even though they graduated from high school or they did not graduate from high school. There are industries out there that will hire them. Currently in Mobile, we have more jobs than we do have citizens. It's no sense for nobody out here in Mobile, in the city or surrounding area, not to have a job. And we have to educate our people and let them know that there is hope. And until we do that, we're going to continue to be in the same boat. Well, again, I do appreciate the administration again for bringing this before us. Hope that we can be better than Montgomery, which is still looking to annex. Hope that we can be better than Birmingham. And God knows, I hope to be better than Huntsville. And I'm going to say this one thing. C.J. Small signed up to be a politician. And with politicians, I understand that I'm going to have stones thrown at me, knives, and also telltales. But when you mess with the cloth of God and put lies on them saying that they've been brought, God is not asleep. He hears you and he sees you. Because those comments that was made about those ministers that they was brought, you have something to answer for. Anything else from this council? Madam Clerk, roll call. Roll call.
President Small,
Yes.
Vice President Gregory,
Yes.
Councilmember Penn,
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll,
Yes.
Councilmember Reynolds,
Yes.
Councilmember Daves.
Yes.
Item pass. Madam Clerk.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 03521 through 6531.
Hold on for 1 second, Madam Clerk. If anyone would like to leave at this time, you may do so. We will pause this meeting for 1 minute. 20 more seconds. If anyone going to exit, when I ask at this time to go ahead and exit, please. 20 more seconds. Madam Clerk.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 03521 through 6531.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of these resolutions as read.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Rules waived.
03521, 03522 are appointing William Carroll to the Mobile Planning Commission, appointing Herman Thomas, Rodney Toomer, Justine Bixler to the Citizens Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. 31523, authorize a grant application to the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs for a Project Safe Neighborhoods Grant Program. No local match. 31524, authorize a grant application to the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service for the USDA 2023 Inflation Reduction Act for Urban and Community Forestry Grant match waived. 60, 525, 526, 527 are approving award a special bonus to Public Services Employee of the Month, Public Works at Large Employee of the Month, and Parks and Recreation Employee of the Month. 65, 28, 529, 530, and 531 are determining appropriations to Kingdom Covenant Connections, Inc., Future Leaders Working, Mobile Law Enforcement Foundation, Inc., and the Courtyards at Magnolia Grove Property Owners Association serves a public purpose and authorizing payment.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions being introduced, 01532 through 37551.
Per council rules, these will lay over for 1 week.
No.
We have two. Give or
Move,
take.
move to waive the rules on 09544 and 09545.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Rules waived.
09544 and 09545. Transfer funds from Capital Project CIP Greenway Trail Sections 1 and 2 to Project GTAP 3MC as match for fiscal year 22 TAP grant $100,000. Transfer funds from Capital Project CIP Mobile Greenway Initiative to Project Mobile Greenway Initiative 3MC as a match for the fiscal year 18 TAP grant $263,773.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Announcements.
Anybody have a core?
No announcements.
Reynolds?
No announcements.
Days?
No announcements.
Carol?
No announcements.
Vice President?
No announcements.
Anything from the administration, Mr. Mayor?
Motion to.
All right. Been properly moving second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Means adjourned.